Well, hello, and welcome to Financial Confidence with Lynn, Demmons, guys, here on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network. We want to thank you so much for joining us for today's show, where we're talking about to repair or not to repair. What are we going to do about the credit? But before we get started with our guests we have today, guys, I want to remind you of the guiding principle for the show, which is Matthew 6:33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Yes, we also implore that you pray over your finances. So commit this simple prayer to memory as you continue to grow in your purpose. Lord, help me to value the things in this world that are really valuable. That's my relationship with you, my life, and my family. Help make me a responsible steward of your financial resources, and let us trust your holy word for the eternal glory of your son, Jesus, we pray. Amen. So guys, we have a special guest in the podcast with us today, Mr. Antoine Paden of Paden Credit Solutions. Mr. Paden, how are you?
Hey, doing well. How are you, Ms. Lynn?
I am well. We thank you so much for being here as our guru today on this credit situation, because oftentimes we have these conversations with our individuals, with clients, with people that we meet out there in the field in regards to their credit and how can they, do things better? What are some of those things that are going to help them to transition? Even though we know the Bible teaches us certain things in regards to our credit, such as the borrower is servant to the lender and all those things that we need to pay our debt. So let's look at some of these issues in relationship to credit. But before we get into those issues, I want to ask you, how did you get started in this area? Why don't you just share your story with us?
Great question. Back in 2015, I was looking to get a loan because we were short on our finances in our household, me and my wife. And I decided to get a loan and realized that I couldn't get a loan from my own bank that I was banking with because my credit score was very low. I was looking in the 500s, 505 to be exact. And man, it really hit me. So I said, we got to do something about this, and I was looking around to get my credit, to improve my credit score, and went to a couple places and they let me down. They disappointed me. And somebody told me about this company called Financial Education Services, and I gave them a shot. And what do you know, within 2.5 months, my credit jumped up to 120 points. And I said, whoa. I said, now my credit jumped up this much. Man, how can I be a part of the team? And they told me that I could be an agent. And ever since I've been an agent, I've been helping people increase their credit scores and helping people get into homes. And my wife said, I know you're helping everybody else, but what about us? So just last year, me and my wife closed on our first home. So now we've been home only for 7 months now. And I'm just excited about helping people. I found out this is a passion of mine, just by going through it myself. And I've been helping others ever since then.
Awesome. That's an amazing story. So let's backtrack. You said something very important there. A lot of people don't understand this credit score thing anyway, right? So let's have that conversation for a second. You said your credit score was a 505, and oftentimes when I talk to people, they'll come in and say, well, my credit is about a 640. Is that good or is that bad? What's a good credit score these days? What's a bad credit score? What are the banks really looking for when we talk about this?
Right, and the credit score, it averaged from 300 to 850 points. So 300 being the lowest, 850 being the highest. So 640, in the 640 range, that's like mid. That's like the red mid range. But I aim to get people in the 750 club and above. A 750 score is considered excellent. And above that is just even more excellent. But below in the 500 range, you're looking at bad. Below 500, you're looking at bad to worse in that range right there, Miss Lynn.
Yeah, that's a very important conversation. And you say you look to get people into the 750 club because, I mean, there are a lot of points that you gain there. You pay less interest, right, when you go out and borrow money on different things, as opposed to having a 500 or even a 6-something, right? A lot of people say, hey, 600 is a good credit score, but I've been in conversations with people where they've been denied, right, opportunities to get a loan or to advance, to receive credit cards and things of that nature because the credit score was too low. So what types of questions should a person be asking if they're looking to improve their credit score and they come to somebody like you? What types of questions should they be asking?
The first question they should ask is, how can I help increase my credit score? And the number one thing to help increase your credit score is paying your bills on time. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that you have those bills paid on time at all times. And also when it comes to your credit card utilization, that's 30% of your credit score. It's 5 factors that hit your credit. And one is credit card utilization. If you go get a credit card, make sure you keep that balance low every time they report it to the credit agencies. So you want to make sure you keep that balance low on there, because a lot of people, they might not have nothing bad on their credit, but just by them maxing out their credit cards, it will drop your credit score. So you want to make sure you have that thing low. A lot of people say 30%, have it lower than 30%, that balance at 30%, but I say 10%. Have it at 10% because that's considered excellent when it comes to credit card utilization. Meaning if you got a $300 credit card limit, you want to make sure you have that thing at $30 by the time it's due. $30 or below that balance. Or if you can pay it off, pay it off. You know, so that's what I tell people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's good information right there. But oftentimes, one of the things that I hear or that we hear over and over from others is, well, I don't want to check my credit because it's going to lower my credit score, or, you know, all these different myths that are out there. Can you talk about some of the myths or those misconceptions that people have in regards to credit that are just completely fabricated because someone gave us misinformation?
That's right, man. There's a lot of fabrication out there when it comes to the credit game. You can check your credit score with some free websites that can allow you to check your credit score, most definitely. One is, of course, everybody uses Credit Karma. They don't have the accurate scores at times, but you can check your credit score through them. They give you around the ballpark where your credit is at, but it's not 100% accurate. Mm-hmm. Another is Credit Sesame. It's a lot of them out there. You can also get your credit report at freeannualcreditreport.com. That's freeannualcreditreport.com. You can get a credit report and see everything that's on your credit. That's one myth that we can just nip in the butt right there, is that you can't check your credit score at all times. Also, another myth is the credit agencies is not a credit bureau. They are not credit bureaus. A lot of people get them confused with government officiated. They are not government officiated. They are a nonprofit organization like every other company out here. And a lot of people are scared of Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, but they're not government officiated at all. Another myth is something got to stay on your credit for 7 to 10 years. That is a lie. It don't have to stay on there for 7 to 10 years at all. That is a myth. As a matter of fact, it's the complete opposite. They have to remove something on your credit if it's been on there that long, but it don't have to stay on there that long. You can dispute your credit at all times. So those are just a few myths that's out there, and there's a lot more myths when it comes to the credit game.
So let's go back, because you said something very important, and I need to make sure that everyone hears this, because we're talking about practical things you can do. Can you please repeat that 7-year to 10-year thing that you just said about things staying on your credit?
Yeah, a lot of people say, oh man, they got to stay on my credit for 7 to 10 years. No, it do not. You can dispute that anything on your credit at all times. There is no law. We got it's something called the Fair Credit Reporting Act that protect all consumers, meaning that you can dispute anything that's on your credit any time of the day yourself, or you can hire some professionals to dispute it as well. But you don't have to wait 7 to 10 years for nothing to be on your credit. You can dispute it at all times, most definitely.
Okay, so in talking about disputing, what do you mean? What's the process that a person would go through? If I'm walking in, I'm like, hey, this thing has been on here. What would you suggest or recommend that I do as far as disputing something that may show up? And if that's too technical, you know, just let me know. But if I came in, I have this credit card that's been on there. I didn't make those charges, but they want me to pay for it. So how do I get that off, right?
Most definitely. If anything on your account that you don't know nothing about, you can dispute by writing a letter, or you can get some professionals that do it as well, legal to credit attorneys. I have legal to credit attorneys that do mine for myself and for my clients. And just dispute it, meaning you're going to investigate that thing with the credit agencies, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, saying that this is not my account. I don't know where this account came from. But, I mean, it's some legal ways that they put it in the letter, but most definitely you can dispute that by questioning those things that's on your credit report. And what the credit agency will have to do is they will have to go in and investigate it, and if they don't get a response back within 30 to 35 days, it will have to get deleted. It will have to get deleted off your credit report. And also, if they misspelled your name on your credit report, if anything is inaccurate or wrong on your credit report, it have to get deleted. So this comes with a dispute process. So.
Wow, you just blessed somebody right there. Even if they misspell your name on that, right? That can be removed. I didn't know that. So that's very good information to have in your back pocket. So another question that we want to ask you, Antoine, is there's some benefits to improving your credit, which we know we basically mentioned one earlier. You get to borrow money at a lower interest rate. So what are three, from your perspective, what are three things that a good credit score helps a person to be able to do better as opposed to not having a good credit score? And the reason I asked that question is because a lot of us, we deal with financial planners. I'm a financial literacy advocate, and we talk to people about looking at your net worth, look at your assets, your liabilities, but nobody really has that conversation with you around your credit, right? That's not a part of the conversation in many cases. So what is, three things that'll be to your advantage when you do improve your credit score?
Well, the number one thing, Ms. Lynn, is people want to be brand new home owners. And when you want to be a homeowner, they're going to most definitely check your credit score and make sure that your credit is up to par when it comes to owning a home. Because guess what? This is like the biggest loan that a person will have in their life is being a homeowner. So you want to make sure that you have your credit up to par so you can get that low interest rate when it comes to owning a home, because you got a lot of people that barely get into the home, but they got that high interest rate, meaning that their mortgage is going to be high, meaning that somebody else can have the same home and you pay way more because of your low credit score. So that's one of them. Another one is if you want a car. Man, you can have the same car, a 2018 Honda, all black, same type of vehicle, but since you got a higher credit score, you're going to pay way less than I would pay if I got a low credit score on the same type of vehicle. Right. And I could be paying way out of pocket way more. So that's when it comes to credit, it can most definitely affect you. But the key thing is when it comes to owning your own business. A lot of people want to be business owners, and you gotta have that A1 credit score when it comes to owning your own business, getting a business loan from these banks or whoever you want to get a business loan from, whether it be a private lender or whoever. You want to make sure that you have that good credit score, especially when it comes to these truck drivers, real estate, hair salons, make sure that you have that good credit score. So when they pull your profile, they will see that, okay, this person is credit is worthy enough to get this loan. So those are the type of benefits that I would say, most definitely.
Awesome, awesome. So in looking at that, why is it then, in your expertise, in your experience, in your organization, why is it that people fail at this credit game? Why is it that so many people have bad credit? I was looking at an actual article, and it was looking at where the bad credit is in the United States. And it just happens that the South is pretty much running things when it comes to bad credit in this country. So why is it that, you know, especially in this region, and I'm saying that because we live in this region, I'm here in Georgia, and I run into people often who ask questions about that because they know I deal with financial literacy, and I'm sure you deal with the same thing in the states you work in as well. So why is it, you know, that this is an area in which a lot of people struggle in your opinion?
The number one reason, Lynn, is we wasn't taught this. You know, we wasn't educated this in the past. And the reason why we didn't know is because our parents didn't know. Or we wasn't educating on it. So now that we're educated, now that we know better, we should do better. Right. You know, and right? But that should be the case. But a lot of times that's not the case, because when we hit with these credit cards, we thinking that it's our money when it's really not our money. Even though we can spend the money, it's not our money. When you get something on credit, that means you got to pay that thing back. So a lot of people get confused when it comes to these credit cards, and they run up the credit cards and they drop your credit score to a low score. So you want to make sure that you know if you can handle something. A lot of people need to know how to handle the money. I would rather for somebody to borrow some money from a family member than to max out their credit card. That's how important it is when it comes to the credit game. Because if you max out your credit cards in the time they report it, and if it's reported maxed out, it's going to drop your credit score. So that's a lot of times, but there's a lot of things why we mess up, and a lot of things that we weren't educated. And when it comes to the late payments, if you have a late payment, it'll drop your credit score tremendously. So that's a lot of times why people mess up in the credit game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I agree. Oftentimes it is better to get a loan from a family member than to have that ding on your credit report. However, sometimes it's tough to loan to family members. If we can just be real for a moment, because you always have that one person, right? Can we be real with the listeners? You always have that one that just won't pay you back. So if you are loaning your money out to a family member, don't look for that back, or make sure you're loaning out something that you don't expect back, so you can be surprised and happy when you get it back. All right?
That's right. And if you can't handle your credit cards, cut it up. Don't close it out, because if you close it, it'll drop your credit score. But cut it up or put it up or something. But you want to make sure that you get something that you can handle and that you can pay back. Because they want you to spend this money on the credit cards. They want that. It's a game. It's a game. They want you to do that. So you got to know how to play the game. That's all it is. You got to know how to play the game.
Absolutely. This money thing is a game. You're definitely right about that. There are rules to this, and we must learn the rules. And that's why we are having these conversations around our finances. Your credit is very important. So, tell me about a time when you worked with a client. You can think back, you don't have to share any names with us, but tell us about a time you worked with a client and that client was difficult to work with. What were some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you help that client to overcome? Maybe they had a very low credit score, or they had some medical bills or something on their account, and you had to help them overcome that. So what are some of the strategies that you use to do that?
Well, I'm not just going to single out one client, but I can say multiple clients done this. You know, they get the information and you don't read exactly what the instructions is. And it can make it difficult on me just by reading a simple sheet. You know, it tells you directions, what you need to do with the dispute letters. You have to sign the letters and mail them off and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't even take the time to do that. And I don't want people to waste their hard-earned money and don't read the instructions and directions. So that could be difficult as well. And another thing is, while we're getting the negative stuff off your credit, a lot of times it's real difficult with somebody maxed out their credit card, like we talked about earlier. I mean, it's like it's a hit and miss. It's like, why take the time to delete the negative stuff when you still maxing out your credit card and still doing something negative on your end? Won't nothing to happen. So once I educate the people and really show people how important it is to keep that balance low and let us dispute on our end, it helps out tremendously. It helps out tremendously once they take heed to those directions on that.
Sure. And you raised some very valid points. First and foremost, reading is fundamental, folks. So make sure, right, when you receive those instructions that you read those instructions and then follow through on those instructions. And he also shared a very important point, guys. We must be educated in these areas. There are no excuses for any of us out there anymore. There's opportunities for us. There's information at our fingertips. We have experts like Antoine out here who can help us in those areas that we need to get to. So guys, if your credit is funny, then you can do something about that and get started on it today. So let me ask you one final question before we close out this segment. What are some steps to improving their credit that listeners can start doing today or start preparing for before they come to someone like you to get to their 100-point increase or whatever their goal happens to be?
I would say you want to write down your goals. What do you want to do when you increase your credit score to the point where you want it to be at? What do you want to get? Do you want to purchase a house? Do you want to purchase something or anything? What do you want to do on that end? And find out what your credit score is by going to these free websites that I named. Freeannualcreditreport.com will let you know exactly what's on your credit. Will let you know if you got a lot of your credit or not. And then after that, if you know you got a lot of your credit and you don't know how to fix it, then you could come to me and we'll most definitely help you. One thing I love about my company, Financial Education Services, we really do just that. We educate the person on good credit. We don't just fix it. We educate you so you won't mess up again or make the same mistakes. So we most definitely want you to take heed to what you want to do first and looking to see where your score at and where you want your score to be. No doubt.
Absolutely. I love that because most often people can't get where they're going because they don't know where they want to go. So I love that you shared to set a goal. And guys, don't just set a bare minimum goal. Go ahead and shoot for the stars in your goal because a lot of people don't reach their goal. But if you just miss and you shot for the stars, you'll see how much better off you are. All right, guys, we want to thank you, Mr. Antoine, so much for joining us. This has been an enlightening conversation. Where can the people find you? You want to share your social media with us so we can connect with you?
Most definitely. You can find me at Antoine Paden on Facebook. That's ANTOINEPADEN. And find me also at PadenCreditSolutions@gmail.com. And you can also call my business phone when it comes to getting your credit situated. That's 864 for the area code, 901-2939. You can find me in those three areas. I'm also Instagram, Antoine, the Credit Fixer, and also you can find me in those areas as well, most definitely.
All right, Antoine, thank you so much for sharing with us. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in for this episode of Financial Confidence with Lynn Demmons on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network.
Thank you.
Finances in a rut? Need a way out? Lynn Demmons is here to help. She's your personal financial rebound coach. Being a wife, mother, and educator, she understands the importance of controlling your finances and building generational wealth. She is here to help you find money you didn't know you had and live life on your terms. Sounds too good to be true? Well, it is true, and it's definitely a good thing. Lynn Demmons of Demmons Enterprise offers one-on-one coaching